insignia of royalty, granting status and authority. Sunlight from the Kadim, where knowledge flows like a sacred stream. Victory now is being proclaimed, joyously heightened every flame. Never to be the same, consciousness ever unchanged. Just going forever to reign, hatred in my mind, never again. Life is hard and it's needed to sustain. Only to cast blame. Theodore Blessing, soldier me, triumphant over the beast. Tranquility from order never ceases. Harmony here will be complete. Establishing Oriental peace, nefarious in its defeat, with chaos ends and wisdom unleashed. Victory now is being proclaimed, joyously heightened its refrain. Living never to be the same. Consciousness ever unchanged. Truth dawning forever to reign. Hatred in my mind, never again. Love is all that is needed to sustain. I'm not from the pain. I'm looking outwardly to cast blame. Theodore Blessing, soldier me. The beast with 10 horns. In the book of Revelations, chapter 13, a symbolic figures representing a narrative is given by the real ego. Who says this means political figures or even a person? It doesn't matter if the masses accept this decision, because nothing cannot stop truth. Revelation 17:7 says, the angel, messenger, said unto me, John the Revelator, I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns that carry her, Zodiacus. John delivered the sublime message about the ultimate triumph of truth, signaling love and righteousness as esoteric understanding. Revelation 12:13 describes there are 3 beasts. First, the dragon, Kundalini. Second, the beast of the sea, the illusion, the world. Third, the beast of the earth, the ego within the temporary body's projection. In metaphysics terms, a beast symbolizes the untamed, instinctual self, the animal nature, under the influence of passions and desires. The world ego is a perspective of the biblical prophecy as the oppressive worldly powers, empires, and tyrannical rulers that oppose truth. In the esoteric understanding, instead of a historical phenomenon, these are external manifestations of inner unresolved states. The external tyrant is a reflection of the lower self, ego, that tries to rule higher states of consciousness by restricting the expansion and acts like a tyrant over truth of holiness. These conceptualize, possess, and dominate by one's own agreement with the system over one's own unique being. In other words, collective over or humanity separated from sublime unity or oneness. Transforming from the beast is achieved by the integration from base desires of the lower conscious states towards beauty, Christ material consciousness, the abode of soul, the only presence, and is seen as necessary. The unfolding of the illusion must eventually fall in order to make way for higher consciousness, Christ material consciousness, the kingdom. The oppressive empires symbolize the 10 aspects or 10 horns termed the zodiac. The two other aspects, the Antichrist and false prophets, total 12, and in Vedic astrology are Rahu and Ketu. The beast is the animalistic part within and expresses through external forces as evil oppression. The ego is the oppressor of the truth within, so is considered evil. The raising of consciousness is the transformation from external opposition to inner alignment that begins the process that raises conscious, unconscious, and subconscious, the earthly powers, to enlightenment, liberation, and freedom. The beast stands for air belief. This is the greatest mystery and paradox caused by human thinking. But intelligence, wisdom, knows better. Anada, no self. Jesus expresses this as the devil. The ego is the father, the pattern or world of lies. John 8:44. Revelation 17:8. The beast, the ego you saw was and is not illusion, and is to ascend from the bottomless pit. The world ego says this means no end to negativity, but really the negativity and violence is in one's physical nature. When the scripture says there is no bottom to it, it means there is no basis of reality to it, no real substance. Figuratively speaking, it is nothing coming from nowhere. The mind manifests as spirit or mental projection that has its terminus point at the three-dimensional perception. The paradox is it has no starting point, but has an ending point which is the realm of outer appearance. The 10 horns symbolize the zodiac or labors, with the 7 heads signifying the gates that overcome this false authority. The chakras. The zodiac had one purpose: to give their power to the beast, which is the ego, Antichrist, making war against truth, highlighting a unified satanic opposition to Christ's material consciousness. The world ego's transitory nature emphasizes its fleeting nature of earthly power and the certainty of its brief reign and truth's ultimate victory of the return of Christ's material consciousness, the abode of soul, the only presence. In essence, the 10 horns are a prophetic symbol for the final, unified Antichrist world order that briefly holds sway before being utterly defeated by truth's dissolution of non-reality, the awakened consciousness. Through the inversion, the zodiac or serpent is transfigured into the dragon, the pole star with 7 heads or radiances. And the 10 horns, the zodiac, in Tantra tradition are transformed into the Mahavidyas. Although considered 10 in number, they are the diverse aspects of a single source. Veda, soul, the only presence. Taking the Bible literally versus internal processes causes misunderstanding. If these passages were about actual humanity going through an indescribable torment, then this expresses a barbaric return of the illusional power of a god meting out revenge and cruelty. Revelation is not about such a concept of God or the world. This is a construct of the fallen state. Truth is an esoteric, symbolic vision of the eventual neutralizing and eliminating of lower conscious states. Armageddon is the place that stands as the internal battlefield where there is a struggle between the illusion and truth. This battle occurs daily until finally overcoming evil. Ego. John 16:33. I have overcome the world. Gnosis, direct experience, must become digested into consciousness and put to it to strengthen the resolve of the awakened consciousness. Awakened consciousness is symbolic of growth and the continued unfolding into the way of truth being revealed. This revealing is symbolized as the 10 avatars of Vishnu the Dreamer, externally Dash Avatar, where Dash means 10. Each avatar signifies growth cycles within consciousness. Because there is no cosmos or universe, these are only world ego concepts. World ego is trying to validate it is aligned with the zodiac by signs. But in order to preserve righteousness, Dash avatars triumph. They symbolize the rise of consciousness from primal, Matsaya, to future, Kalki. Thus, symbol of being enlightened. These symbolize the intervention of Supreme Consciousness that ends the current dark age, Kali Yuga. These currents project and show how the illusory drama of the 10 horns is being played out. Horns in the Bible represent power, strength, and authority. In matters of truth, 10 is symbolizing fullness or earthly completion. In the world ego scenario, they appear in the last days or during the final intense period of tribulation. They will wage war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will triumph over them. Rather than submit to Christ's material consciousness, the world ego continues its own self-deception. This symbolizes a concentration of intellectual or worldly thinking used to uphold false beliefs, specifically the illusion of separation and the belief in any external power rather than the only source of power. 10 horns represent soul's attempt to assert control through fabrication rather than surrender to truth. Awakened consciousness is to deny this false power assigned to outer circumstances. This in Revelation 13 and 17 was represented as the horns of a ram, adverse conditions. The world ego is the falsification of truth, wholeness, holiness. The horns are associated with blasphemy, Revelation 13:1, and diadems signify ego's deception of twisting or deceptive practices leading away from truth. In this aspect, the 10 horns represent the human-centered or the carnal mind. These are thoughts and beliefs against Christ's material consciousness, the Lamb, until they are eventually overcome by truth. Revelation 17 is called the final triumph, the overthrow of the ego. The great harlot is the world, with the ego being the beast. The term harlotry means just that. It means getting away from devotion to one's own inner love and having intercourse with outer gods. This speaks to idolatry of religions, entertainment, entertainers, cultures, educational systems, etc. Esoterically, the bottomless pit may be considered as symbolizing the subconscious, the fallen state. The subconscious played an important part in the world ego activities. The subconscious was the source of many negative beliefs, fear, resentment, hatred, unhappiness, painful memories, on and on. When these were allowed to be set loose on the conscious level, they inflicted torture, suffering, and baneful manifestations. The awakened consciousness is to maintain trust during the dark times. Then the two witnesses, individual materialism consciousness, Padmasambhava, and the awakened consciousness within the personality, will be restored and glorified. Revelation 11:15. Now the kingdom of the world ego, subconscious fallen state, has become the kingdom, Christ, material consciousness, reigning forever and ever. The six trumpets leads to destruction of all erroneous conditions, but the final outcome is the establishment of righteousness, the kingdom, Christ, material consciousness. The final announcement in Revelation indicates that a new and higher state of consciousness is now in the process of attainment. Portent is a sign or warning something especially momentous or calamitous is about to happen. And literary, it means someone exceptional or wonderful. In Revelation, the first portent points to the birth of Christ within consciousness. Matters connected with birth are usually placed at the beginning, but the birth of Christ is introduced halfway through Revelation. The earlier sections of Revelation, interpreted metaphysically, deal with intellectual processes. Thus, the 7 letters invite reading, mark, learn, and inwardly digest the celestial message. The breaking of the 7 seals indicate a process of eliminating old beliefs by means of denial. The sounding of the 7 trumpets are regarded as signifying the affirmations. While all these activities are conducted on the intellectual level, the allegorical presentation of the birth of Christ indicates the awakening of solar consciousness. Awake, O sleeper, arise from the dead, and Christ shall give you light. Ephesians 5:14. Intellectual activity must give way to wisdom. However, the first portent indicates this awakening is accompanied by inner disturbances. The second portent, allegorically represented by attacks on the Christ child, which means the ego resists all attempts to replace it and seeks to destroy the Christ child. But the third portent assures, hold steady. Ultimately, there will be victory. Victory, only brother,